So Andy has gone ahead and talked a bit about semantics and shown you how to mark up the document content effectively using the contemporary methodology of matching elements to content meaning. A very, very important concept in today's web design. But I've been a little naughty, and I have gone ahead and put some errors into his page in order to show you how documents with errors in them can be validated and eventually corrected using validators and some tools that I'll show you as we step through the exercise. Here I have exercise 02_04a.html, which you can find on the CD-ROM with all of the other exercise files, and this is in the Chapter 2 section. And you can follow along with me as I go through this, validating and working through the particular problems there. So the first thing I want to do is take this particular file that I have open, and I'm going to validate it using the W3C validator. And we're going to find out what errors I've introduced. So to do that, I go ahead and I go preview in browser. So I'm going to preview that in my browser. Here I'm using Mozilla Firefox. As you can see, we have a very plain page with some content on it, but it is properly structured and it is semantic. So let's find out by using a feature of the Web Developer extension for Firefox and Mozilla. That's this toolbar here running along the top. This is a fabulous, useful toolbar for web designers because it offers all kinds of helpful utilities that will help you as you work on your sites to find all kinds of information out about your CSS, your images, how your forms are looking, if you have tables, what they're doing, if you want to view the source, if you want to validate CSS, HTML, all of that. So you're going to see both myself and Andy use this throughout the entire tutorial because it is such a valuable extension and it is absolutely free. And you can find out where to get it by making sure you take a look at our bookmarks.html, which can be found in the source folder on your CD-ROM. Now let's go ahead and using the tools, let's go and validate local HTML. And now the validator is taking a look at it. Now we're at the W3C, which has run it through its validator. As you'll recall from the Creating an XHTML Document movie, the doc type declaration is put into use during validation. And this is exactly what's happened as I've run my document through the validator. The W3C validator looks at my document, it looks for that doc type declaration, and then it makes a comparison between the specification and the document that I have written. And in this case, I have failed validation, and there are 6 errors. But as you know, I've purposely put those in there. So let's jump to the results and see what kind of errors I've gone ahead and done. The first error is a very common one, made when people move from HTML transitional or XHTML transitional, which is a more loose interpretation of the specifications, to XHTML strict or HTML strict, which is obviously a more strict interpretation of the specification. In this case, when you have a block quote element, you cannot have text in it without having a container element around that text. In this case, a paragraph. One of the reasons I really, really like the W3C validator and using the Web Developer extension tool in tandem with it is that the information that the validator gives us back is very helpful. It tells us what we've done wrong and also will often give us links within the W3C that can help explain why in greater detail. So that's the first particular error. So if we move back to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to use expose here to get back to my document. I love expose on the Mac. I keep hoping somebody will come out with it for the PC where it works well. But anyway, so now we're back in Dreamweaver, and I'm going to take a look and see. Okay, so here's the block quote element, right? And what the complaint was from the W3C was that there was no paragraph tags around this particular quote. So what I've done is in 204B, I've gone ahead and added those tags, as you can see right here. So why don't we go ahead and put this into our browser and go ahead and validate this and see whether we've corrected the mistake. One of the things I really like to do is always validate after my first error is corrected. Sometimes a single error will cause a cascade of other errors. And so that's very important. So as we can see, I'm now down to 5 errors because I had in fact fixed the block quote issue. Now I'm still not valid. My next error is on line 16, column 11, another feature of the W3C validator that I enjoy a lot because it tells us where the problem is. And it says an element of anchor A isn't allowed here because there's a missing li start tag. So let's go back into Dreamweaver and take a look where that might be. Well, here's line 16, and guess what? That's right, we have to have an opening tag here. So I've gone ahead and fixed that and added that particular tag to get us ever closer to being completely conforming. So let's go ahead and validate this. And as the validator loads, we see now we are down to 4 errors. Fantastic. We have, in fact, fixed that particular error. Now we have another error. Now this is an interesting one because it says the document type does not allow element H3 here and that something is missing. So when I go back into my markup to take a look for what that is, I go to look about the H3 and I saw that it was your worries. And my tendency would be probably to start right there and to sort of look around, but I don't see anything here that's wrong. This here is absolutely correct. I have an opening tag, my text, and my closing tag. And then that's followed by perfectly semantic markup that is also correct. So because it is not after or in the context of that particular H3, what I need to do is look before that particular error. And guess what? We find that there is, in fact, a missing closing P tag right here. So that is what is throwing the error, which is showing up as an H3 doesn't belong here. Okay, so what I did is I went ahead and I fixed that. And there you have it. So let's go ahead and preview this in Firefox. And then once again, go through the validation process. And we're now down to 1 error. Excellent. We have totally fixed all of the problems that we have, bar 1. So here on line 35, the end tag for the body is omitted. It's very, very clear error, so we can quickly go back into our code and change that by adding a body element at the end. As you can see in the prior document here with our error, there is no closing body tag prior to the closing HTML tag. However, in our corrected document, I have added that. And this document should now pass validation and be compliant. So let's go ahead and invoke the validator. And guess what? We have passed validation. Congratulations.